All right, welcome back. Really exciting episode today. We're gonna be making vegan mushroom sandwich with hot chips. So this is like a full vegan episode. So I got friends out there I wanna please. The first step is to make our hot chips. Really large Sebago potatoes, I've got 4 of them, and I'm just gonna peel them first. People do skin on potato chips. I think it's a bit mad. And we're just gonna give them a little rinse. So now we're just gonna cut them into our chips. I like chunky chips personally. I like to go down, and then with these little guys, probably just like 3 across. It doesn't really matter what size you cut as long as they're all pretty much the same size, so you know, cook it in even sort of time. So we got potatoes in here. We want a good whack of salt. I'm gonna put cold water in here and then put it on the stove. So we're gonna cook this for about 10 minutes. Now we're gonna start the components for our sandwich. The first component is gonna be a delicious sweet and sour leek base. So for that, I've got a couple of leeks. I'm just gonna trim the tops off. I'm just gonna cut it in half first, like this lengthways. And then we're just gonna give it a rinse under the tap because there's quite a bit of sand and stuff down there. And then we're just gonna slice these leeks across, not too perfect, into 1 centimeter slices. I've got a pan preheating here. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in. And you can start on quite a high heat with a bit of salt. I'm just gonna add quite a lot of vinegar, about 125 mils. Remember, you're not gonna taste like all that sort of raw vinegar. It is gonna cook away with the leeks, but it is gonna give us a really nice sort of tart note. And then we're gonna go in with about a tablespoon of sugar. We're gonna give it a stir. Bring it back up to a boil. And then we're gonna simmer it for about 20 minutes or so. So for our next component, we're gonna do a delicious little cabbage slaw to go on top. All you need is about 1/4 of a cabbage, mint, lemon juice, olive oil, and salt. What we're gonna try and do is just shave the cabbage as like thinly as possible. And at this point, I'm just gonna add a good pinch of fine salt, good squeeze of lemon juice, and we're just gonna work that cabbage. So essentially, we're just trying to break it down a little bit so you know it's not like so harsh on the palate. And we're just gonna add the mint last minute because obviously you want the mint to be really fresh and not broken down. Just like tear them in and leave it on top and don't mix it through. I'm just gonna put my knife in the potato and it's just breaking down a little bit and it's exactly what I want. And go forward and strain them. I'm just gonna pop these on a tray. It just helps the cooling down process and really helps all that steam evaporate. This is what makes the chips real crispy. Just leave these at room temperature until they're ready for the first fry. And now it's time to make our vegan chili mayo. So I'm gonna go in about 50 mils of soy milk and then 100 mils of oil. I'm just using a sunflower oil, any neutral flavored oil will work. Sort of want that 1:2 ratio. To that, I'm adding a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, went with about a teaspoon of nutritional yeast. And here I've got some like Calabrian chili paste. Any like sort of chili paste will work, sriracha will work really well, some harissa will work really well. But today I'm going with these Calabrian chilies. 2 tablespoons of that. If you don't like it that hot, do less, but I like it hot. And we're just gonna do this all together. So unlike a normal mayonnaise where you have to slowly add the oil, you can actually just do the oil and the soy milk at once all together. And should work. Beautiful. We've got a really delicious, thick, vegan chili mayo. Of course, taste it. Make sure it's balanced. That's delicious. If you need more vinegar, add more vinegar, more salt. But this is awesome. Over here, we've got our leeks. Been here for about 20 minutes, and they're pretty much good to go. I'm gonna add a pretty good amount of olive oil. And I'm gonna slice lots of fresh parsley. And then we're just gonna mix it through. Set these aside for the sandwich. So we're up to the mushroom stage of the sandwich. I've just got some large field mushrooms and I'm just gonna trim this little guy off. Just gonna go in with a little bit of oil. And we really want this pan to be really, really hot so we get a nice sear on the mushrooms because of course, second we start adding salt, all that moisture is gonna start to come out and we're not gonna get any more caramelization. So the mushrooms have been on for about 4 or 5 minutes. Flip them over. They've got really nice color. I'm gonna add my salt. Gonna add the soy and the maple so we can start deglazing. So I'm going with about 1 tablespoon of soy. And following that, I'm gonna add about 1.5 tablespoons of maple syrup. I'm just gonna shake that a little bit. And we're just gonna put a lid on top and turn it down. They've been cooking now for about 5 minutes. I'll give them a little flip and you can see they're really delicious and glazy. And now that these are done, I'm just gonna set them aside. Our chips have been sitting for about 15 minutes and they're ready for the first fry. So my oil's at about 180 degrees and we're gonna pop them in till they develop a light crust on them. Be very careful dealing with hot oil. I've got my pot filled just under halfway. That's how I like to make sure it's nice and safe. Potatoes have been cooking for about 10 minutes or so. We're not really looking for like a lot of color right now. We're just looking for a nice crust to develop and we've achieved it. So we're just gonna take it out. I've got a tray here ready. They've been cooling down for about 15 minutes or so. And now I've turned up my oil and we're gonna go in for our final fry. And now we're ready to make our sandwiches. I've got my slaw, got my leeks, got my mayo, got my mushrooms, got some nice crusty white bread loaves. And at this point, I just have to take a little bit of the white bread out like that, just so we have more space for fillings. So we're gonna start with our chili mayo on the bottom. And we're gonna go in with our leeks, go with a couple of mushrooms. Obviously, you know, leeks and mushrooms, best friends. Nice little squash, and there we go. Our chips have been frying, they're really, really crispy. I'm gonna take them out and put them into a really big bowl. It's a good sound, baby. Gonna sprinkle some fine salt. Give it a little toss, and there we go. Alrighty guys, thanks for tuning in today. As you can see, we've got a beautiful vegan feast. We've got a mushroom sandwich. We've got some homemade hot chips, vegan chili mayo. Let's tuck in. Crunchy, soft, sweet, salty. Enjoy it.